Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to our MAT113 problem-solving math investigation. This is a course of Bethany, LD Woosley Bethany College. Welcome, Micaela. How are you?
Afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon. Congratulations. You're one of the top scorers on our ED115 prelim examination. Congratulations. Ayan. So, yung prize nun, you just PM to me a topic or a book, or whichever. So then I will just have some choices this Friday as we proceed with our presentation. Yeah, anyway, I announced it last Saturday since we have not met last Friday because of some very difficult issue on my hardware software. No? But anyway, welcome to our week number 9. We are continuing on our discussion on our matrix operation, linear equation, utilizing our octave. Okay, I wonder Hazel and Dale is coming. Anyway, I think Hazel has something to do. May isa pa kayong classmate sa 115 na hindi nag-exam eh. Ano kayang gagawin ko dun, Micaela? Palagay mo. Pwede nang i-zero, no? Kasi ilang days na ba yon since the deadline of the prelim examination? Tapos naka-scene mode lang eh pag message natin eh. Parang ano ba yan? Hindi, parang pang showbiz, di ba? Pag may kayo, conflict, no? Isi-scene mode mo lang sa chat, sa messenger. Parang ganun. Anyway, I don't know what is happening to this student, but he must be responsible enough, no? So anyway, I'm planning to he will be failing on the exam, no? That would be the case. But I'm still giving chance to take the exam because I'm already computing your prelim grades. Normally, sa ibang professor, Micaela, kapag ang estudyante hindi nakapag-take dun sa oras na tinake niya, anong ginagawa niya?
Sorry po.
Okay. Ito. Pag ang estudyante hindi nakapag-exam doon sa exact date of the examination, anong usually ginagawa ng isang LD Woosley Bethany College student?
May special exam po yan.
Okay. Ano yung period ng special exam? Ilang weeks yun?
1 week po.
1 week, di ba? Lagpas ng 1 week, di ba? So, pwede na, valid na yung i-synco, no? Doon sa prelim exam siguro. Kasi ayaw naman sumagot. Problema, yun. Di ko alam kung ano nangyayari. Baka naman may dahilan. Pero sa totoo lang, walang dahilan di mag-exam, no? Palagay mo, Micaela, because the exam was given 5 to 6 days ahead of time. And it was announced. So it was announced that you may take it anytime within that time frame. So I think that's already I've given a generous extension, I would say. Pero yun, may isa lang naman, isang case lang naman. Hindi ko alam kung bakit nagkaganon. So I'm not expecting him to be on that situation. Nevertheless, I will deal with him by the soonest time. Perhaps I'll be making a decision this week. All right, so we will continue. I hope Dale is around on our YouTube channel. Saan kinukuha yung special permit to exam, Micaela?
Hindi ko po alam, sir.
because you have not tried it yet. Tama? Ang tanong, kung ang isang estudyante gusto mag-drop, anong procedure?
Parang 1 week after ng prelim po, pwede
mag-drop.
Opo. Maghingi ng letter sa registrar po, tapos
To drop. Hindi nadadala ng professor yun?
ina-notify po sa professor.
Sa professor. Ano yung time frame ng drop? Kasi meron yung may time frame yun eh. Pag lumagpas ka doon, di ka pwedeng i-drop eh. Unofficially drop pwede. So, ang ibig sabihin nun,
After prelims po, 1 week.
After prelims, 1 week. So, lagpas na tayo, di ba? Lagpas ng 1 week ng prelim exam eh. So, iniisip ko rin na baka gusto mag-drop ng estudyante na to dahil di siya nakapag-take ng exam. Baka lang naman, I'm just thinking ahead of time. Hindi naman nega because I've been teaching for more than 20 years. So I know how students think. I know how students think even in this situation. So nevertheless, let's just benefit of the doubt. Pag gano'n, hindi ko tatanggapin yung officially drop niya, i-UD ko siya. Kasi lagpas na, no? Time frame. Automatic 5 yun eh, pag nag-official drop ka eh. UD yun. Hindi siya official drop. Pag official drop lang nakalagay sa transcript. Pero pag lumagpas ka na sa time frame, it's not anymore possible. So, dapat hindi payagang i-drop, no? Tama, ng registrar. Kasi lumagpas na eh. Ibig sabihin, para kang awol na nun. Nag-aawol ka na. Kung trabaho yan, nag-aawol ka na. Unofficial drop. So, yan yung mga na-encounter na. So far, ngayon lang nang sumulpot yung ganyang, as far as, this is my 3rd semester, as far as a previous sem, wala naman akong na-encounter. But anyway, I hope the Lord will give us the way we could deal with this. No? Though 1 or 2 student lang yan, no? Maraming no? Hindi ko sure eh. Yun bang mga workers sa Bethany talagang fully loaded sila? Michaela. Yung mga worker dyan, preacher ka, halimbawa, preacher, assisting Dr. Nable, ano ba yung mga, kung isang hangman dyan sa Bethany, is it really, you're really loaded? Based on the pre-COVID experience sa Michaela, what do you think? Kasi now, we cannot
load
see
po sila.
Loaded. Every day, merong mga task. May mga task. Halimbawa, they have outreach, extension, or perhaps they will be part of the academy. I think most of the preachers would also engage in the academy.
Yes po, may academy din, may Bible college.
Bible college.
Tapos may church pa po, ministries.
Ministry. So, pwedeng loaded nga talaga. Pero pwede pa rin mag-examination. It's not the reason. Hindi lang hindi lang porque may loaded ka sa ministry, hindi ka makakapag-exam agad. Dahil you're a student. What do you think? You will make a way for you to at least have a balance of your ministry and your being a student of your own church, your own educational ministry. What do you think, Michaela? Kasi ang iniisip ko, though I'm not really negative, habang tumatagal yung delay, lalong nagiging alibay siya. Habang pinapatagal mo yung responsibility to take. Kasi you cannot escape naman with the requirements of the course. Eh. Whether you have ministry, you have regular ministry, you're fully loaded ministry, or whatever ministry you may have, you still have commitment for your class. So, I think you need to step up. Ibig sabihin, gagawa ka ng effort para ma-neutralize mo yon, para magkaroon ka ng balance. Of course, for the ministry's sake, and for you being a student, which is also a Christian ministry, because this is part of the ministry of the church, the being a student. Di ba? Balance. Hindi siya nagiging scapegoat lang. Kasi habang tumatagal, nagiging scapegoat. Though I would say it could be a valid reason, but you need to parang balance. Dapat naging balance. No, kasi ako, I've been experiencing that since I'm a Bible college student way back 2003. After work, no, the class would start yung parang yung ano natin yun, pang night class natin na associate in ministry, parang ganun yung format namin, no. So ang klase ko hanggang alas 5 ng hapon. Then I need to travel by jeep. Dahil wala pang grab car noon, I don't have a car. So jeep, no, talagang dadaanin, susuungin ng traffic. 6 to 9 yung klase ko sa Bible school. That is Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, even though pag talagang nata-traffic, I really need to make amends on that to my professor. No, kahit ako mismo sa sarili ko, professor ako. Pero as a Bible college student, estudyante ako. Hindi ako nagpapaka-professor. Kasi I went into Bible college when I'm an engineer already, a licensed engineer. Good afternoon, Dale. Good afternoon. Good morning kanina, good afternoon ngayon. Ayan, Dale is at our YouTube channel. Ayan, pakita ko lang yung kanyang ano. So I make it a way to comply, or at least to pass the needs of the course, regardless whether I'm whatever things I do in the church, no. In a way, sa church naman talagang yan nandiyan yung ministry, no. No, kahit naman ako, I'm not a pastor, no, as a deacon of the church, we have also other responsibilities as preacher, as a devotional leader every day, as the seminary professor of the church. No, we have our seminary ministry and Sunday school teacher, etc., etc. So on top of that, we must have a balance of our schedule. I wonder, palagay mo, Micaela, anong palagay mo doon? Kasi habang tumatagal yung delay, tingin ko lalong nagiging alibay siya. Alibay yung delay. What can you say? Though it may not be applied to you because you're always on time in taking the test. Yun lang. Of course, we're discussing this as part of the community of LD Woosley. And perhaps some other professors are experiencing also the same way. Some students are hindi na lang magpaparamdam even in the live stream. No? So yun, yung mga nangyayaring dyan. Ayan, buti si Dale nandito, no? Ayan. What can you comment on that, Micaela?
Sa akin po siguro kailangan lang po i-remind. Kasi habang tumatagal po siya, nalilimutan na din po.
Oh, yun nga ang problema. Kaya nga naging alibay siya. Of course, I don't need to remind people just like a high school or LM students. You are college student. In fact, Edu 115 students are post-baccalaureate students. O, di ba natuto na sila sa ABM? Dapat kung anong sistema sa ABM, mas lalo silang alam nila yung sistema sa post-baccalaureate. Tama din yung remind. Pero hindi ko sure kung I'm less of reminding the student or not, because I have already personally twice give a private message to the student reminding him of taking the exam because overdue na yan. No? Siguro yung reminder hindi an issue. I think it's not an issue in our class. It's more on the responsibility of the student. I'm passing it to the student simply because the weight of responsibility is more of the student rather than the professor compared to a teacher of a grade school to his pupils. Okay? So hindi tayo pupil-teacher relationship dito. I'm a professor, you are a college student, or some of them are post-baccalaureate student. Okay? So pero you have a point there in reminder, but of course, I think the reminder issue is not really an issue, I would say. It's not a reminder issue. No? Because everything is recorded. No? If they miss a class, they may just look at the recorded session. Everything, every details will be there. No? And of course, the chat group is open, the group chat. And of course, a private message if there are really an impending issue that needs to be resolved, no? Even as far as taking the test is concerned. Because in the university, actually, I'm comparing to the university because we are college here. At the university, the students are the one looking for the professor. It's not the professor that's looking for the students. Okay? I don't know if you have, di ba may iba kang college dati? Siguro ganun yun. Ang estudyante, ang college student naghahanap sa professor. Hindi ang professor naghahanap sa estudyante. And the professor may have a little time reminding, but it's not the issue actually of the reminding thing. Because if you have been reminded once, that is enough. Although you have many things to do. Okay? Kasi sa totoo lang, ito nga sasabihin ko sa iyo, yung Diyos ng ministry, yun din yung Diyos ng LD Woosley. Walang pinagkaiba. We're saving the same God. So why diminish responsibility to other and other perspective of ministry? No, that is detrimental to the looking at the other ministry, prioritizing other ministry, and less of this. Whereas pareho lang naman ang ministry yan. Kailangan lang talagang balance. The balance of priority. No? So, pero siguro, on the point of the student reminder, I think, yes, to some point, that could be an issue. But for me, I would say it's not an issue. Reminding people is not an issue in my class. Though I have very limited reminder, no? But you have the this, no? In fact, if they could watch, not only for the non-MAT113, no? But this is applicable to you and Dale only. No, but of course, on the respective classes, I am always reminding people. Yun nga lang, I have a very minimal time to remind. That's why when people are reminded, they are responsible to be reminded. Kasi ayokong dumating sa oras na gagamiting issue against me. Whereas the issue is to the student who is not taking the examination on time. No, nakakaamoy ako ng ganun. No, pero not to the extent that I'm thinking negatively. I'm just looking on the various experience. I've been teaching for 22 years. So I have seen so much people, so kind of people, even kind of student that you never anticipate. All sorts of which, no? Engineering student, math major, non-math major, non-engineering students, all sort of this. I have seen, so I know how to approximate and to anticipate these things. No? In fact, no, because this is a ministry and this is a Baptist college, I really give students time, no, rather than to be strict on supposedly a stricter policy even in the examination, because the exam is an exam. Whether you like it or not, exam is not a quiz. Exam is not a take-home assignment. Exam is not other activities. Exam is a periodic exam. It's a periodic activity that represents the body of knowledge from that particular period of time. And that corresponds to 40% of your grade. So I think that's though I'm look like I'm giving a sermon to you, Micaela and Dale, but it's not really to you. I'm just voicing out my thoughts on our other classes. Ayun lang. At paano kung remind naman, Micaela? So anong susunod na pwedeng What other reasons? Kasi kung na-remind ka na, dapat na-remind ka na. Tama? Oh, kung na-remind ka, then you're being reminded so that you'll be reminded of these things. O, di ba? Parang circular yung aspect. Pero ibig sabihin yan, kung ikaw ay pinagsabihan na, dapat matutunan mo na yung pinagsabihan, yung sinabi sa'yo. Ilang beses? Sa kolehiyo, minsan lang. Hindi kailangan pa ulit-ulit sa kolehiyo. Kasi what does distinguish us from high school and LM students? If not, ano kaibahan natin sa kanila? Diba? Though this is a ministry, yes, walang problema sa ministry. But we could always have a standard that's for collegiate, appropriate for a collegiate level. In fact, some of them are post-baccalaureate. Ini-emphasize ko yung post-baccalaureate kasi nga, nakaranas na silang maging college student. Is already on top of their academic units. Okay? So, yun lang, yung expectation minsan versus reality, di ba? Micaela, expectation mo, dapat may mga estudyanteng post-baccalaureate, mas mature to, supposedly, doon sa mga undergrad student. Tama, Micaela? May ganun, that's a valid expectation, supposedly. That is, post-baccalaureate student are far more perhaps adjusting to the undergraduate student, because undergrad, that's the first time that they will have a degree, a program. But for this post-baccalaureate, they already have their previous course. Ito yung comment ni Dale, no? They are irresponsible. Yan nga yun eh. Kaya nga Dale, pa habang humahaba ang panahon, yan, nagiging alibi. No? So it's more of students' responsibility. Yan. So yan yung ayan. So, hindi ko na ipopost yung next mong message dito. Alright? So, anyway, those are my thoughts. May comment ka pa dun, Micaela?
Siguro, sir, treat na lang po sila as college students. Kung lumagpas po talaga, di kung ano po yung grade na ibigay na lang po para kung paulit-ulit na po, para yun na po yung lesson, hindi na po nila ulitin.
Actually, hindi ko naman sila hinintay. Kaya nga, di ba ang plano natin, take the exam, not within my time frame. Di ba? Kasi I already anticipate that eh. Yun yung, tama yung point mo. Hindi talaga, they cannot delay us. Kasi though they're not taking the exam, nagtutuloy. In fact, in my Saturday class, we have a presentation of, ano nga ba yun? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So they already have that module. So mabilis sa kasi maraming presentation. So though, hindi na talaga hihintay. Tama yung point na yun. Kung ano man yung maging grade. Yun lang kasi nakakahinayang eh. Nakakahinayang din lang on the part of them that are workers, some are preachers, or even pastors, no? Yun ang dilemma ko eh, yung papagalitan ko yung pastor eh. Diba? Though, hindi ko talaga gawain yun, but yan. But because they're my student, I could do that. Oy, nawala. Micaela, balik ka dito. Nawala si Micaela. Okay, let's just wait for Micaela to come back. Para Dale, mukhang nagtampo si Micaela. Okay, let's just wait for Michaela. Anyway, let's continue, no? Nevertheless. Okay, we're now on vector operations. I hope Dale is still there on our YouTube channel. Okay, so we have one viewer here. Thank you, Dale. But what happened to Michaela? Nahulog si Michaela. Anyway. So for vector operations, we have this, yan, hintayin ko pa si Michaela. So anyway, so we have subtraction, addition, scalar multiplication, multiplication and transpose. Oh, Michaela, kala ko nagtampo ka na. Ayan, mahina bang internet, Michaela? Mahinang net? Okay na. Sige, sige. Kala ko nagtampo ka na eh. Anyway, may comment dito si Dale. Maganda rin sigurong makita natin. Ayan. Ayan. Yan ang problema. At pag ganitong mindset ng isang estudyante, nagkakaroon ng problema. Thinking that he already finished a course, so okay na to, kahit petics na tayo sa post-baccalaureate. So yan ang nagiging pero okay audio mo, Michaela? Okay ang audio mo?
Opo.
Okay. Kala ko nagtampo ka na eh. Hindi naman ikaw yon, yung isang nating classmate sa 115. So anyway, so far we have discussed, I'm just giving this idea to you kasi kayo, ganito kaya ko ino-open to. Eventually, you become teachers. You will encounter the same situation. You will encounter the same situation. And by that time, you know how to handle it. Because we are discussing it, we have some thoughts about it, no? And it might happen to you as teacher. You become the teacher, and there's a student that has similar issue. That will be helpful to you. No? As for me, ako talaga, ginagawan ko lang ng I'm trying to be more gracious to the student, extending to them. Nevertheless, of course, may limitation yun. May limitation siya. At ayan, pag nagkaroon ng limitation, yun, suffer the consequence of that limitation. All right. So here we could see some of the column matrix C, matrix C and matrix R is a row matrix because they are singular row and column respectively. Yan, I will just now we have a 4x4 matrix here. We know how to do this. A 4x4 matrix. Of course, I know how to. You still recall how to make use of this, no? I'll be calculating this 4x4 matrix, this row times column, meaning the number of column of the first matrix supposedly equal to the number of rows of the second matrix. That's what we call conformability. They're conformable one to another, so that you will create a matrix. And what will be the form or order of that matrix? It should be 4x4. So it will be 4x4, no? Here, no? But basically, let's first look into the scalar representation, no? Scalar matrix here. For instance, A, because there are two ways to multiply this: 6, 2, 3, 4. Right? So these are scalar matrix B. Right? And then we could multiply A, that multiplication B, so that it will be scalarly. Oh no, then it could be scalarly multiplied, no? I'm not so sure, no? Scalar multiplication. Dapat pala ang ginawa natin yung scalar for a while. yung dot multiplication, that is a one-to-one correspondence. No? I don't know if A, B, dot B, A. Pareho lang, no? So that could be, well, dapat hindi scalar to eh. It cannot be index, sorry, may mistake. Ayan, yung pa lang, ito. This the, we compute as 67. That's the answer. I think I type. Let me check, no? 5371 for A6. 43 ang nailagay ko dito. 6243. And perhaps that would change the answer. Alright? And then B. So A times B is 61. So that's the scalar multiplication. So meaning there's a correspondence between 6 and 5 plus 2 and 3 plus 3 and 7 plus 4 and 1. And you get the sum, that would be the scalar product, which is equal to 61. Of course, what the expected product is a scalar product. Now, wherein this is equal to 61. Now, whereas, if you multiply, of course, this 5, this only one column, and then one row, still conformability. So we could always have a conformability. 5 times 3, 6 is 30. Ayan. Welcome again, Micaela. Ayan. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 2 is 10, etc., etc. You will create a 4 by 4 matrix. A 4 by 4 matrix. Of course, kung yung nauna naman yung matrix A, ganun din naman. That has a 4 columns and 4 rows, still conformable. No, conformable siya. Kung gagawin natin na A dot B, so this is the scalar or the matrix multiplication, that manner, or it could be B that multiplied A. So I think they have a similar answer. They will produce the same order of 4 by 4 matrix. So depending on how you compute it. But for scalar multiplication, you just need to get the sum of the ordered products. For instance, 6 times 5 is 30 plus 2 times 3 plus 3 times 7 plus 4 times 1. That will result to 61. Okay, that's for scalar multiplication, but for vector or matrix multiplication, this will be the case. Okay, RC. So there's a transposition there. So B times A. Yan. Pag binaliktad, B times A pa rin. Kasi nga, that would be your, parang yan na yung matrix multiplication. Yung A times B, that is your scalar multiplication. Okay? So yun yung pagkakaiba nilang dalawa. Okay, in MATLAB, these operations, or Octave, these operations are accomplished using that asterisk operator, which is the matrix multiplication operation. The first the column vector C and row vector R. Yan. So yan yung makita natin. Of course, for A times B, since your row is just one row, and you have one column, so what to expect sa 1 by 1 matrix equal to 67. Unlike the column, so you have a column matrix who has one column times a row matrix who is one row, no, would have its, I would say the column is 1, but it will take the row, okay, ganito, the one that would take the order of the product is the row of the first matrix and the column of the second matrix. That would dictate the order. Okay, I repeat, the one that would determine the order of the product of the matrices is the row of the first column and the column of the second matrix. For instance, for this case, if we will go back to that example, your first matrix is a matrix C, and your second row or second matrix is matrix R. Now, since this is a column matrix, this is a 4 by 1 matrix. The row is 4, and unlike here, you have a row matrix 1 by 4. So the one that would dictate the product, the order of the product, is the row of the first times the column of the second. Make sense, Micaela? Kaya yung ano, no? Okay. Thank you. Kaya nung minultiply mo yung 4 by 1 times 1 by 4, ano yung nabuo mo? 4 by 4, yung extreme. Okay, yung extreme. If you will multiply a 4 by 1 by a 1 by 4, the result will be 4 by 4. But if you will multiply a 1 by 4 by another by 4 by 1, so what will be the ano? What will be the product? It's 1 by 1. All right. I hope that would be clear based on this example that we have. All right. Now we have this dot and cross product. A dot and cross product. Yan. So we have the dot function here. So, but we could always have the command dot for the values of vector 1 and vector 2. For instance, Micaela, can you try this example, vec 1 and vec 2, and try to get the product? Are you using PC or mobile, Micaela?
Laptop.
Do you have the link for the Octave? Do you have a link?
Wala po.
Sige, I'll pin it to our live chat para makapasok ka. Alright? Kindly do this example, vec 1 and vec 2. And then we have the product of vec 1 times the transpose of vec 2, which is equal to this value. But also there's a command that would call it dot. So it is corresponding to the dot product of the two. All right? So dot product. All right? Okay, then you perform the product of vec 1 times vec 2 transpose. Transpose mo. Transpose, yan. Yun, 31. Same as true, we have the formula dot. Okay, you do the dot product, dot of the two vectors. Yan, pareho, no? Hindi mo na kailangan i-transpose. Diretso na siya. Automatic siya magda-dot product siya. You don't need to transpose. Okay? So, that's an example here. The dot function, no? automatically, that's transposing the second vector or using that function. Okay? So there's a transposition or transpose of the second matrix. Now, another is the cross product or the outer product. By the way, that product is also called inner product. And of course, we define that product by A dot B here based on definition. It's just the summation of the pairs of A and B correspondingly. So correspondingly, if there's a transpose, there's a corresponding per column and row. No, yung ano natin, yung kada element na yan, you just pair it and get the product, the sum. You get the sum, that would be equal to 31 for this case. But for the cross product, this more an outer product, it will be defined based on these assumptions. No? This is how to cross A and B. No? So this is oh, of course, sorry. Nangyari doon, yun. Bigla ako na, ano yun. Alright, so we have a built-in cross function also. So parang ganito yung lalabas. So ang diagonal mo, diagonal elements are 0. Then you have the corresponding elements here, no? Elements. And then B1, B2 is a column vector. Then this will be the result. Of course, don't worry about that. There's what we call a cross. Na pwede natin siyang i-cross without yan. So yan yung magiging ano niya, no? Michaela, kindly again try this sample. Yan. Back to dapat. O, back na lang. Yan. Okay, okay. Good. So, yan yung magiging sagot. So, sa vector. No, also a vector. No? Though we will be defining that here, no? Applying this concept. But nevertheless, these are the two built-in functions. And the definition of cross is this one. Is this one. So, if you have the cross to that corresponds to A, B, and C, no? So, ito yung magiging definition niya. So, substitute lang natin yan, yung 425 dyan, that's A sub 1, A sub 2, A sub 3. And then yung 261, that is B sub 1, B sub 2, B sub 3. Okay? So, then there is a corresponding answer that will be applied here as well. Of course, this could be further simplified. As we expect here, we are actually expecting 3 elements here based on this answer. 3 elements. Because you have the primary diagonal as 0. So, wala na yung primary diagonal na yan. No? So, everything will be, first and foremost, yung A has a partner. Yeah. Yung A sub 2, there's a correspondence pala, no? Correspondence. No, correspondence of A sub 2, B3, A sub 3, minus A sub 3, B2. So this one has a correspondence. Kasi itong B sub 3, itong 0, wala na to eh. Wala siyang correspondence, no? So, ang magkakaroon ng correspondence, yung supposedly yung kay 0, correspondence sa kay B sub 1. Kaya itong negative A, A3 correspond kay B2. And then A2 correspond to B3. Nagets mo, Micaela, yung ano niya, pairing niya. Yung 0 wala na, correspond siya kay B1. So, B2, negative A3, B2. So, that is A3, B2. and then A2, B3, A2, B3. So that's the first set. Then the second set, A3, B1. And then 0, the middle term is not there. And then negative, so that corresponds to B2 dapat. So negative A1, B3. Alright? Then the last one, okay, the last one is that negative A2, B1, and then A1, B2, and then yung supposedly correspondence sa B3 ay 0. Okay, make sense, Micaela, bakit nabuo yung expression? Kopya ba? Ba't nabuo yung expression?
Hindi ko lang po gets yung sequence po.
Hindi, yung sequence mo, yung, di ba, column sa kaliwa, row sa kanan. Yung 0, anong correspondence ng 0? B1. 0 times B1, kaya wala, pag tinignan mo yung first place, walang B1 doon kasi ang partner niya 0. Sumunod, negative A3 times B2. Makikita mo ba? Nandun, negative A3 B2. Tapos, yung A2, anong partner ng A2? B3. Kaya A2 B3 minus A3 B2. Then bababa ka ng susunod na column. A3, ang correspondence niya B1. And then 0. So wala yun, yung kapartner ng B2. And then negative A1, B3. So nandyan yung A3, B1 minus A1, B3. And then baba ka ulit. Ang katapat ng negative A2 ay B1. So kaya meron kang minus A2, B1 doon. Then A1 corresponds to B2. Kaya may A1, B2 ka. Then 0 corresponds to B3. So wala siya doon. Okay? Okay na. So pagbaba lang yung ano mo. Kasi single row lang eh. So ang
ano po nangyari sir dito po sa ang ginawa po natin sa octave po sir?
Pakiulit.
Yung dito po sa octave sir. Kinross din po natin.
Oh, ganun yung pinapaliwanag ko sa iyo based on this formula. Ganun din yung nangyari dito sa cross. Yung 425 mo, this is A1, A2, A3. Tapos yung vector 2 mo, B1, B2, B3. Yun din yung nangyari doon. Ito siya. Kaya tatlong elements yung lumabas. Ito, supposedly, we are expecting a 1/3 element of the cross product.
So, yung vector 2 po, sir, bababa po siya? Hindi siya yung pakanan?
Automatic transpose siya pagdating sa cross function. Hindi mo na siya kailangang i-transpose. Pag krinos mo, automatic magta-transpose yung second vector. Katulad din ng dot. Yung dot, di ba, hindi mo na transpose pero pareho lang yung sagot. So, ganun din siya. So, automatic transposition. Pag doon sa second vector.
Okay po.
Okay? Sige. So, yun yung ano natin dyan. Alright. So, let's continue. Now, this one had been discussed to you in your 122 linear algebra, but we could recall this. We could still recall this. No? Pwede natin appreciate yung paggamit. Not necessarily computing manually, but appreciate how to solve using this octave or MATLAB. No? So of course, we have known this linear algebra, and that corresponds to a matrix. No? We could always put that in a matrix form. This is an example of a linear equation. No? A 3 unknown linear equation. Of course, if you have a 3 unknowns, you need 3 equations to solve. So the number of equations corresponds to the number of unknowns. So if there are more unknowns than equation, what will happen, Micaela? Halimbawa, 3 unknowns pero 2 lang ang equation. Anong mangyayari doon sa ano? You have 3 unknowns but you have only 2 equations.
Substitution.
Actually, you cannot find the solution because you're lacking one. So if you have three unknowns, you need three equations to solve. No, yeah, but you could use substitution. Of course, the algebra methods could be applied here. No, so you have substitution, elimination, Kramer's rule, and then the Gauss-Jordan and the Gaussian elimination. All of this could be used. But the point, if there are less equation than the unknown, it is more likely for you not to solve for the unknown because there are less equation than the unknown. So it must be just 1-to-1. If there are three unknowns, there must be three equations. But there are instances there are more equations than the unknown. Okay, so what can you say about that?
Okay lang po, sir.
Okay lang. Ang tawag doon trivial. It's more trivial solutions. Magkakaroon siya ng trivial solutions na tinatawag. But anyway, hindi naman masyadong ano yun. No? Yun lang, minsan mas maraming equation, kukonti yung unknown, so trivial siya, nagiging trivial yung sagot. Right? So yan yung tawag dyan. So of course, we could form an M by N system of equation here where M equations and N unknowns. So that could be the array that we could provide. The number of row is M and the number of unknowns is N. Alright? Or the number of equation or rows is M, so M by N matrix. Wherein we could represent this through this parameter or the solution set that we could have is for us to express all of the constants of the equation into a single matrix we call A, and all of the variables, we call it matrix X or a vector X. This is a column vector and could be equated to the constants on the other side of the equation, which is your vector B, because this is also a column vector. Now the solution. There are three possibilities here. All right. Now, first and foremost, there might be no solution. Now, recalling Micaela, if there are no solution, what would be its correspondence to a line? Sa isang linya, ay paano mo i-represent ang no solution? Dalawang linya na ganon. Pag sinabing no solution, how will you graphically represent that?
Parallel lines.
Parallel lines, yes, because there's no solution, meaning no intersection. And one solution, there's a one point that they will intersect. That is one solution. And how about infinitely many solutions? How will you geometrically represent that?
Ang tawag nun. Sir, one line lang po siya, pero two lines po siya na kumbaga nagpatong po.
Okay, so may nakalimutan ko rin yung tawag eh. Pero hindi siya parallel, pero it is the line itself, is another name only. No? Para siyang coincidental to each other. So if A is parallel to B, no solution. If A intersects B, the point of intersection is that solution. And if A is coincidental to B, that has many solutions. That's the right term there, coincident. They're coincidental one to another, meaning they are not just parallel, but they are actually the same line, but of different names. For instance, 2x plus 2y is equal to 4 is the same thing as writing it as x plus y is equal to 2. No, they're not really parallel. They are coincidental. All right, so that's the case there, no? So infinitely. So these are the three expectations in solving for a linear equation. So no solution, one solution, infinitely many solutions. Now for that case, we must reflect the sum matrix equation such as AX equal to B, or matrix A times vector B, vector X rather, is equal to vector B. Okay? However, we could solve we could solve for x. All right, we could solve for x by transposing. You're transposing your matrix A to the other side of the equation. And that will become the inverse. When the matrix is transposed to the other side of the matrix equation, it's called the inverse of matrix A. No, the inverse. This one here, no? Can you see it, ano, Micaela? So yung inverse, yung A raised to negative 1 dyan, that corresponds to the inverse of matrix A times vector X. Or, yeah, kasi ang ginawa dito, minultiply niya yung inverse doon sa matrix A. What will be the result? Identity. Identity matrix times X is equal to inverse of matrix A times B. Therefore, identity times X is obviously equal to X. Therefore, this is the solution. Now, the solution is X is the inverse of A times vector B, or the column vector B. So that's how, that will be the basis of our solution as far as MATLAB is concerned. All right. So this would be the case. Can you siguro ano muna yung you type or you construct matrix A muna, Micaela, can you do that? Matrix A muna. Yeah, matrix A. Of course, nandiyan na rin yung ano, no? We extract already the constants, no? You just copy them. All right? It's a 3 by 3 matrix. Then you have, of course, unknowns x sub 1, x sub 2, x sub 3. There are corresponding. Ayan, sige, enter. All right. Then, yes, create matrix B. This is a column vector. Ayan, semicolon. Yes. All right. So the solution now is to solve for the inverse of matrix A times B. Yan. Okay, correct. Saktong-sakto. Now, the other manner where we could solve this is backslash. Ayan, this is another shortcut that we could have. X is equal to, or you just simply, sige, equate mo sa X. X is equal to, A is backslash B. Sige, pasok. O yun, pareho lang. Alright, that's how we solve. No? How we solve for, either you solve for the inverse of A times B or A backslash B. So these are built-in shortcut command for MATLAB and Octave that has a corresponding answer, as if you are getting the inverse first and having this multiplication, no? This matrix multiplication, no? by its corresponding command A backslash B. Alright? So, Dale, are you still there? No? So, ganito yung pagkuha natin, Dale. Please recall this. Now, these are the two ways you could solve for the inverse of A times B or A backslash B. Is my audio clear, Micaela? I could feel some technical issue again. Ganto. That's why I was not able to meet you last Friday, no? Because the situation was worse. It's actually there are crashing issues on my laptop in general, no? Both for hardware and software. Though I have resolved the software issue, but the hardware issue is fixed. Meaning, ibig sabihin ng fix, hindi na ayos. So, kumbaga, fix yung kanyang issue. So, ang na-resolve ko lang talaga yung software issue. Medyo gumaan yung ating application. But nevertheless, I hope our broadcast is still fine. Okay, next is actually solving 2x2 system. Of course, using MATLAB, that could be very easy. Ayan, meron tayong This is more of a visualization, no? Let's analyze the ano. Though I will not require you anymore to do that M file, plot 2 by 2, no? So assume x equal to -2 to 5. So what would that mean, Micaela? This command? As we look into this script,
X is negative from -2 to 5.
x is -2 up to 5. So meaning the values of x, you're assigning the range of values of x from -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yun yung ano niya, yun yung ibig sabihin nito. So x would be equal to -2 to 5. Ayan, so you're actually expressing this without the bracket, of course, and the colon. It will be a range of values for x. Because kung hindi siya symbolic, Kantiya Micaela, pag ang x ay hindi symbolic o yung any variable, you must assign the range of values. And to set the range of value, you could set the initial point and the final point. For this case, it's between 2 and 5. Then from there, you could already have the corresponding value. For instance, sige, gagawin ko tong ano, no? So 0.5 times x. So you have already the value of x, no? So hindi na magtatanong si MATLAB kung anong value because you already assigned, unless you will put it in a symbolic representation. So from there, I'll put a semicolon para itago lang natin yung value, no? So negative 0.5x plus 1, no? That's for y. And then y sub 2, I will create another variable here, is negative x plus 3. So put it in semicolon. Then you will plot. No, you could use a plot command. Plot command plotting this various variable y, xy, and then x and y sub 2. So and then you will set also the axis. Now the axis, no? whether the x-axis would range from -2 to 5 and the y-axis correspondingly as well. No? So that would be the axis. Ay, Floyd to. Okay. So that would be the visualize ba dyan, Micaela? Masyadong light lang kasi yung ano. Light lang yung plot natin. I don't know if you could visualize the plot. There's a point of intersection somewhere on the down right corner. Can you see that? Or medyo malabo na siya.
May number din po.
Yan. Ako kasi visualization ko kalahati, no? So pag in-expand ko siya, ayan, malaki. So ganun lang pala siya.
May numbers din po siya.
Sa'yo, may numbers talaga? At sa akin, wala.
Sir, dahil po dark yung theme po.
Oo nga no. Wait. Hindi ko siya makita talaga. So sa'yo, may... Oh, actually, hindi ko makita eh. Oh. Dark kasi yung ano ko. Oo nga no. Good point there ah. Oo nga no, meron no. Ayun, oo nga no. Galing ah. Oh, ayun no. Oh. O di ko pa sinabi, hindi ko pa na ano. Galing oh. Anyway.
Pwede po siyang change sa settings po yung theme.
Oo nga, yes, I know that. But anyway, so okay lang yan. Walang problema. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for that. Then you have the access. Ay, mali ako. Alright. So, parang sinet na lang yung access, no? And then the X label, Y label, and then you have the title command. Anyway, pwede siyang dire-diretso mong Actually, pwede mo siyang dire-diretso, magkaroon ka lang ng semicolon after the command. So yan yung isa sa mga makikita natin. So that could be, and then that visualize now, the point of intersection is the solution of these two equations. No? The solution. So for this case, the intersection is 4, 4 negative 1. Tama ba? Really? In other words, x equal to 4 and y is equal to negative 1. So kung dito, so x to, no? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Masyadong madami, no? Kaya nalito ko dun sa ano. So 4, then supposedly, ito, 4. Tama ba? 4, negative 1. So 4, negative 1 is in the fourth quadrant, no? Tama ba? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Parang di siya eksakto, no? Kaya palagay mo. Ako lang mali ng visualization dito.
Sakto po siya, sir, sa numbers po.
Sa numbers, itong 4. Yun yung tama. Hindi ko lang masyado nakikita itong number. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, then you have negative 1. Okay. So from here, ang 0, ang ano pala, itong 0 niya, kaya ito negative 1. Okay, makes sense. Alam ko na. Alam ko na siya. Ayan. So hindi ko lang siya masyadong na-appreciate dito. Eh. Of course, yun na yun. Yung intersection is for negative 1. Ayan, dito. Mas medyo mas may sense dito. Ayan. So for this case, no, we have the system. Okay, forms this. No? So yan na yung AXB mo. Now, in finding for the inverse of A, we must have the determinants. No? That's another element that we could solve. No? In how to solve for the inverse of matrix A, you must know the determinants of that particular matrix. So, madali na yung determinants. No? We could always make use of this formula. And then by definition, now this would be the definition of your so nagkaroon ka ng ano, no? Anong nangyari dun sa matrix, Micaela? Palagay mo. So how will you define this now? How will you relate that from the original order of the elements?
Inverse po.
Actually we're solving for the inverse. Ito 'yon. So nakuha na natin determinants. 1 over the determinant is times this one. Ang tanong ko, anong relation nitong order of elements na to doon sa original given matrix A? May tawag dyan eh. Kung naalala mo. Pero sa 2x2, mabilis lang siya makikita.
Medyo nakalimutan ko na po.
Yan yung tinatawag nating cofactor of matrix A. Yung cofactor of matrix A, for instance, pag yung cofactor A, kapag in-strike mo yung vertical saka yung horizontal line, ano maiiwan? Dito, ba in-strike mo to, ay, yun lang. Yung vertical line is from A sub 11 or 11 and then horizontal line. Anong maiiwan? Yung 22, di ba?
Andito po. Oh.
Kaya nakalagay dyan 22. That's what your cofactor. How about 12? Oh, kapag yan in-strike mo dyan, tapos in-strike mo doon, mo iwan 21. Kaya lang ba't negative? Bakit kaya negative ni Kaela? Hindi siya positive. Sa ako napapaliwanag, ba't positive yung A22? Pag naipaliwanag natin, bakit negative yung A21? No, naalala mo pa, yung definition ng cofactor, no? Meron kang tinatawag na constant. Ang constant mo is defined by negative 1 raised to ij or raised to mn. Depende doon sa positioning ng element mo. Kaya yung cofactor na A20 ng 11 ay 22 times the constant negative 1 first row, first column. And what is negative 1 raised to 1 plus 1 is equal to negative 1 raised to 2 or equal to positive 1. That makes the A22 positive. Make sense, Micaela? Meron kang negative 1 raised to I plus J or M plus N na function na constant doon. Now, we apply this to the cofactor of 12, A12. Obviously, this is 21, but why negative? Because negative 1 raised to the first row, second column. Negative 1 raised to 1 plus 2 is equal to negative 1 raised to 3, that is negative 1. Alright? Kaya siya negative. Ganon din naman sa 21. And of course, yung cofactor ng 22 dito ay 11. Okay ba, Micaela? So this is what defines the cofactor of matrix A. Cofactor of matrix A divided by the determinants of A is the inverse of A. O, di ba? Yan yung, okay, make sense ba, Micaela? That's the definition of inverse of A. Is the cofactor of A over the determinants of A. Okay, let's have an example here. Ayan, so kindly, can you solve for A and its determinant, Micaela? You still have the link? Ay, nahulog. Nahulog ka pala, Micaela. Ayan, can you solve for A and its determinant of A? Alright? Yan. And then from there, you multiply the determinant, rather the cofactor, you will do it manually. You will create a matrix that is the cofactor of A divided by the determinants. Hindi ko alam kung diretsong cofactor na built-in command eh. Not so sure about that. So create another matrix. You call it perhaps co-A to stands for cofactor of A. Co-A. Or hindi, co-A na lang, co-A. Co-A na lang. Co-A. Co-A is equal to that particular element wherein you have your cofactor. I hope, Dale, you're still there online. Okay, acknowledging Sir RC Pinoy on our YouTube channel. Salamat, Sir RC. Thank you for dropping by, sir. We're discussing here some problem-solving techniques in linear algebra. Can you do that, Micaela? Creating a say, pangalanan mo na lang ng co-A. Co-A is equal to the cofactor of A. Though wala siyang formula, no? You just rearrange the elements of matrix A and divide it by the determinant.
Sir, hindi ko po magets yung mano-mano po nung cofactor.
Bali, isa-isahin mo yung yung element, cofactor 1. Ano mo na, i-arrange mo na siya as corresponding cofactor element. Halimbawa, yung cofactor ng 1 doon sa matrix A, di ba 2? Cofactor of 2 doon sa first row, second column, negative 2. Cofactor ng negative 2 doon sa second row, first column, negative 2. Cofactor ng 2, 1.
So, sir, pero kung yung paano po siya gawin, medyo nalito lang po ako dun sa explanation niyo po kanina.
Sige, ulit tayo. Sige. Alright, sige. Wait. Nasaan na ba yun? Ba't itong nangyari? Okay. I'll be giving another example. For instance, we have, say, D or K. K, perhaps a 2, right? And then you have the determinant of K, right? Negative 3. And then the cofactor of co-K, you will just create a matrix. Ano ba? Correspondence to 1. What's the cofactor of 1? 5. What's the cofactor of 2? There. Negative 4. What's the cofactor of 4? What's the cofactor of 4 there? It's negative 2. What's the cofactor of 5? 1. Okay? So, by the way, built-in na yung command na yung constant doon, negative 1 raised to number of rows and columns. So, ang makakatanggap lang actually ng, for this example, ang makakatanggap lang ng positive 1 ay yung elements ng diagonal. The rest ay negative. So that would be the cofactor of K. So yung inverse A would be equal now to cofactor A divided by K, or that divided by the determinant K.
Sir, yung diagonal po laging positive sa cofactor?
Oo, positive siya. Kasi, bakit positive? Pareho yung rows and column niya eh. So, 1 plus 1 is even, 2 plus 2 is even, 3 plus 3 is even, 4 plus 4 is even, etc. and etc.
Yung iba po negative?
Yung ibang, hindi lahat, no? Hindi lahat. Pero pag add yung sum niya, automatic negative yun. Halimbawa, third row, second column. O di 3 plus 2, 5. Negative yun. Yung cofactor niya. Halimbawa, 6th row, 8 column, o 14. So, positive siya. So, depende sa sum. But, all the time, the elements in the primary diagonal, is positive. Okay? At pareho to eh. Ayan. Uy, magkaiba. Nangyari. Magkaiba. Inverse of K. Supposedly, ito ay baka kailangan pa i-transpose, no? Tingin ko kailangan pa i-transpose. I think there's I have a mistake here of this transposition. Tingnan nga natin paano niya ginawa dito. So of course, yung determinants negative 2, no problem as based on this example. So you have here 1 over this, and then 2 corresponds to 1, 1 corresponds to 2, negative 2, negative 2. So yun yung makikita natin dyan. So negative 1/2 divided by this. Hello, my child. How are you? Yan. May dumalaw dito. Teka, ba't ganun? Ba't baliktad? Baliktad ako. Yeah, let me try this. Baka alam ko tatranspose pa yun. So if we have 1, so this is the problem given. Okay, and you have the depth of A is negative 2. Then if you would like to solve for the inverse of A, supposedly ito ang lalabas. Negative 1, 1, 1, negative 2. Tama naman. Pero pag sinolve mo siya in terms of cofactor of A, which is equivalent to 2, negative 2, negative 2, and 2. So inverse A is equal to co-A over that A divided by that A. Tama naman, no? Pareho lang, no? Pero siguro, I have problem there. No? Then from there, sige, tama siya, pareho. Kasi puro 1 to eh. Paano kaya kung transpose yun? Alam ko, parang tinatranspose yun. Okay, hahanap pa tayo ng ibang problem. Hopefully, we could have some problem here. No? So from there, of course, yung equation natin, kung babalikan natin, so we could solve for x utilizing this inverse of A times B. That would be your answer. Anyway, let's try to solve here. Ito kasi approximation to ng determinants. No? That yung inverse A. Right? Ito, practice. Sige, practice. Can you solve, Micaela, this one? As a practice, you could have a direct method utilizing inverse without using cofactor. It's okay. Practice 12.4. Solve for the equation. In fact, you could use other if you will still recall our symbolic math, so you may use the word solve, solution, or the solution, or solve, the solve function. But you could use that. Now, kindly solve this in any method. Dale, you could, if you're watching Dale, you could solve also in the YouTube channel and just type on the chat box your solution. Also, Sir RC, if you're still there, Sir RC Pinoy, and you could also solve. Dalawa, Micaela. Pwede mo siyang Separate by comma. You have just solved their x. Paano nangyari na to eh? May ginawa tayo dyan, Mikaela, eh. Naalala mo ba? Para mapalabas siya. Parang dinat mo sa answer. X.ans, something like that. Yeah, try mo. X.ans or answer. Tapos Y.ans. Ay, mali. Ayan, answer.x pala, sorry. Ayan, answer.y. Yan. Oh, yan. So whatever. So the answer is 7 hubs and walang sagot for Y. Well, dapat may sagot yan eh. Anyway, sige. I will confirm at this time. Let's use the inverse of matrix. I will be doing that. Tingnan natin. So thank you, Michaela, for that. So for that, we will have an inverse for A here. Would be 1, 3, 2, 4.
Sir, saan po ulit galing yung 4 po?
Yung 4? Anong 4? 1, 3, 2, 4. Yung numerical coefficient. Yung 4 ba? Are you referring to 4?
Okay po. Okay
yung
na po.
numerical coefficient. 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay, so inverse A times B. Tama yung 7 hubs mo? 3 pips? 3.5, no? 7 hubs. Yun lang din, hindi ko sure bakit di niya ma-generate yung negative 1 hub. So that's the answer. Inverse of A times B. So, yung kanina kuha, 7 hubs, no? Tama. Ay, nabura ko na nga pala. But 7 hubs is 3.5. Okay? Sige. What else? Ano ba yung susunod natin? So far, okay, do the on the paper, piece of paper. Hindi na natin gagawin to. Ayan, dito na tayo. So siguro next week na to. We'll be discussing this next week. I think this will be the last topic, no? Gauss Jordan manipulation. How will you do that here? So we have the row column manipulation here. Gauss Jordan, Gauss elimination. I think this will be the last topic before we have our, since week 10 already, week 12 is our exam again. Parang kailan lang. Parang Gauss then Gauss Jordan. Alright. So, dyan na iinog yung huli nating topics actually. So, you just try to read the entire or the augmented matrix also, augmented matrix. Ayan, yun lang. Gaussian, Jordan, Gauss-Jordan, augmented matrix. So, that will be our last topic. So, okay, I will be suspending the discussion here on the Gauss-Jordan so that this will be for next week. Okay? So, other clarification. So, siguro, ano na natin, simulan na yung ano, wala pa ang binigay na take home, no, for 113, Micaela? Wala pa ba? Sa abstract pa lang, no?
Multiples of 4 po sa module 3.
Doon sa stat. Doon sa stat, yes. Doon sa stat yun. Pero dito sa ano, madami kasing pwedeng sagutan dito eh. Let me clarify. 36. Okay, I'll be requiring multiples of 4 dito, Micaela. So you could start now. Multiples of 4 for these exercises. To be submitted by the end of the midterm. Multiples of 4. Ayan. Ayan, para ano, no? Same instruction as prelim. You will upload the text file. Text file pag command siya, pag script, pag script siya or function, gagawin yung .m files depending doon sa requirement. Okay? Make sense, Micaela? So itutuloy na lang natin to next week. Perhaps this will be week number 10. Tapos may isa pa. And then ano na tayo, no? Midterm examination agad. Parang kailan lang. Of course, dalawa yun. Stats saka yung eto. So pero naman, I'll be focusing more on the on the skills we utilizing our mathematical skills through MATLAB and Octave. So not necessarily in-depth of the concepts here, but more on the computational aspect, particularly on utilizing Octave and this material per se. I'll just be combining my midterm here on this material. Okay? Sige. I think it's almost 4 o'clock. I thank you, Micaela. Thank you. And Dale on the YouTube channel. Patuloy na lang natin to next week. By the way, Micaela, it's possible to download an Octave. Now, if you're just interested, no, you could also practice using an offline copy. So yung Octave, ang tatype mo lang GNU Octave. GNU Octave. So you just type on the browser GNU Octave. Then here you go. It will point you to that GNU, to the download page. Ayan, yan noted din, no? So that download page, you could download this. In fact, if you're using a Mac, I think there's a copy for Mac. Mac OS, ayan, no? So there are download for different operating system here that's suited for you. Now, if you have and this is an offline version. If you are kung minsan sumasablay talaga tong natin, online version natin. You may, no, but that's not a requirement. Kaya lang kasi it will also, hindi naman siya ganun kabigat, no? 325 megabytes. Wala pa siyang 1 gig. So okay din naman siya. Pero siyempre mag-expand yan. Now once it's installed, it will be expandable. But 1 gig still not that much. This space compared to other other applications. Okay? So, pero siguro kung i-expand to, nasa ano lang to, mga 500 to 600 megabytes. Alright, compare naman sa hard disk natin, no? As for my case, I have a 1 terabyte hard disk here. So, hindi siya ganong kabigat. So, mabigat lang siya doon sa mga medyo may edad ng computer. Okay, Michaela, this is just a suggestion. No? Since all throughout our math courses, you will be dealing with octave. No? Lalo na yung pag pumasok na tayo sa Calculus 3, no? I think next sem, no? You will be taking Calculus 3 and other some mathematics. We will be using on that. No? But for demonstration purpose, ayan, sa octave online muna tayo. But eventually, kung kakayanin ng computer ko, I'll also demonstrate using GNU Octave. Okay, this is the offline version. And this is more, mas marami siyang library. So, hindi siya now offline kasi nga offline na siya. Okay, Michaela? So, just do the multiples of 4 for this to be submitted together with the statistics requirement during the midterm exam, which is week number 12. So, we will have week number 10 next week and then week 11. Siguro by week 12, you may have an option to take the test already. It's up to you, but I will still extend that to 5 to 6 days. Upon upload of the file, upon upload of the midterm exam, you may do so for 5 to 6 days. Okay? So, yun yung natin. Other clarification, Michaela, before we close?
Yan po.
Okay. So, thank you, Dale and Michaela. Thank you for though it's really sometimes napakainit dito. Kumusta dyan sa inyo, Michaela? Dito napakainit. I have a hard time concentrating because of the heat. So maalinsangan sa labas at dito naman, yan, wala kasi kaming aircon dito sa Hindi maabot. But nevertheless, yan, we will continue. Plus the other technical glitches I've been experiencing, hopefully this will be minimized. Minimized and to be avoided, no, in our next sessions. All right, so thank you. Let's close in a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity where we could discuss some of these computational skills as far as utilizing MATLAB and Octave to linear algebra and matrix analysis. I hope and pray, Lord, that the students may develop the skills so that this may contribute to their conceptual computational skills as math teachers eventually, that they may continually grow in academic knowledge. Also, these technological skills that they may adopt as they teach these things to their students. So help us by your grace that we may continue to depend on you, O Lord, by your grace and mercy. Without your grace to us, things will be difficult. Things may be impossible for us, even our salvation, Lord. But you make, by your grace, that we may be able to serve you and to glorify your name and to praise you for all the things that you have done to us. We thank you. I thank you, Lord, for the lives of my dear student here, Michaela and Dale, who is with us on both YouTube and the stream. Also, Acel, that has some ministerial things to do. I pray also for continuous guidance to her and for the rest of the class, that through this, your name will be glorified. This is our prayer in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you po.
Okay. Thank you, Michaela. See you next time. God bless you. Also, Dale. Bye-bye.